All right. Steven Crowder. We're actually covering Steven Crowder today. This is an older video. It's from 2017. And it's called There Are Only Two Genders. Change My Mind. Now, Steven Crowder is an insufferable piece of shit. The reason for this is, and we're not going to watch this whole video. It's 50 minutes long. We don't need to do that. But we're going to go over Crowder's basic ideas about this, and we're going to debunk them. Now, what Steven Crowder does is he sets up a very obnoxious little table with the whole change my mind thing, and he basically tries to bait people who are unprepared to casually skipping over your dono. Why didn't it pop up in Streamlabs? Hold on. Comrade Courtney, thank you for the tier 1 gifted sub to Hewabble, says, here's my funny meme from Afro Lefty. Okay, just at me that whenever I finish covering this video. I can't watch that right now. Okay. So, Steven Crowder likes to engage in debates with people who are unprepared and not knowledgeable about the situation, so he can come out of it seeming smart. I assume he's on a college campus or something here. I assume that most college students would be able to explain why how gender works to Crowder, but Crowder is very stupid. I mean, he's a comedian, not exactly the most qualified to discuss these certain topics, but hey, let's get into it. Paul Resendes, the $5 says, who is dumber, Steven Crowder or Caitlin Bennett? Caitlin Bennett. Steven Crowder is just smarter, I would say, because of his experience in the field. Caitlin Bennett hasn't even figured out how to do the right-wing NPC talking points. Steven Crowder has. That's why he's so effective. Caitlin Bennett is a failure at that. And Ruffled Bricks of the $5 says, here's $5, change my mind. I will not change your mind. I'm going to appreciate those $5. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. Okay, let's watch this. Let's watch this shit.
So if you were to intentionally misgender a trans woman...
Whoa! Okay, dude. Let's slow that down a little bit.
That could put her at risk of murder. You understand that? Because people think because trans...
I hate to ruin your polite discourse, but you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for...
What a fucking queen! Okay, so this is also one thing that they'll do. They'll record all day, and since they're the ones... This is the thing that Caitlin Bennett doesn't know how to do. Caitlin Bennett will interview a bunch of people, and then she won't know how to edit it up in a way that makes her look good. She just ends up including the good arguments and making herself look like an idiot. Steven Crowder specifically knows how, at least his editors do. His editors know how to edit out all the good arguments and only include the stuff that's bad optics for the left. And that's why these videos do so well. So that's why he starts by including the SJW non-binary person, and then the video of someone walking up and saying "fuck you," which honestly is pretty fucking Chad. What a fucking Chad this person right here is.
for putting that in place of the whole world.
Wait a second, did his fucking buff... Wait, hold on. Is this his, Wait a second, is this what I just thought it was? Hold on. Is this his bodyguard? Does Steven Crowder have, a fucking 6-foot-tall bodyguard?
Thank you. Thank you for putting that in place.
He has his fucking big old bodyguard that he has to protect him from these fucking SJWs come and fucking shove this fucking 120-pound lady who just said go fuck yourself away. What a fucking beta. Imagine having a bodyguard, dude. What a fucking beta. What a fucking pussy. Having to get his fucking 300-pound bodyguard to come pull this lady away from him who isn't even physically attacking him. What a fucking beta! Nice, I'm glad I saw that. They tried to cut it out too, but I saw it. Alright.
Fourth installment of Real Conversations. Change my mind. For those who haven't seen the series, this is just a series here where we set up shop, pick a controversial topic, and allow people to change my mind. Sit down, unedited. You get to see what happens when a real conversation transpires.
Let's be honest here. Steven Crowder isn't going to change his mind. Reactionaries don't change their mind. Well, some do. Now, really quick, I want to cover something really quick. There's a saying that a lot of people like to use that really, really upsets me, but at the same time, there's a little bit of truth to it. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. This isn't necessarily true. I don't think I necessarily reasoned myself into being a reactionary when I was younger, but I was reasoned out of it. So you can't reason Crowder out of a position. Crowder is somebody who has too much on the line when it comes to changing his mind, in my opinion. Crowder's entire career hinges on his beliefs. He can't change his mind on these positions no matter how much you convince him, because his paycheck is on the line. Unlike the Chad Hunter Avalone, who we're going to look at his Instagram right now, unlike this fucking Chad Hunter Avalone, who was originally a very, very conservative reactionary who engaged in science denial and all that shit, but now he's engaging with the opposition, and he's changing his mind. And you want to know? Do you want to know? Here's a good meme. I want gay married couples to be able to protect their marijuana plants with guns, and he says true. So when you look at his fan base and their reactions to these things he's been doing lately, you have, why aren't you a conservative anymore? Straight Pride Army commenting, so you want perverts to have guns to protect their drugs? Vomiting face. Are you still anti-abortion? I'm unfollowing you. Stop calling yourself a conservative. You aren't conserving anything. Don't let this distract you from the fact that a man has fallen into the river in Lego City. Specific, but I like it. Facts. I'm conservative and I agree with this 100%. This is the most base post ever. A lax take on immigration will ensure. So, like, we have some people still supporting him, but there are a lot of people. The top comments on here, a lot of them are like people shitting on him and saying, why aren't you a conservative anymore? So there is a massive social and financial incentive for Steven Crowder, no matter how much science, no matter how many good arguments, no matter how much reason you put in front of him, for him not to change his mind. So I don't expect him to ever do that. He's not going to change his mind. There's a reason why "Change My Mind" is the tagline of his or the title of his little skit, because you can't change his mind. He's just going to do his NPC talking points, which his audience fucking gobbles up. How many views does this have? 34 million views? Seems about right. All right, let's watch.
Not set up to be a debate, just a conversation. We set up at a campus. Today there are only two genders. Change My Mind. You will see 3 different people, a full hour of Change My Mind today, in chronological order. And I wanted you to see, specifically, 3 different approaches, 3 different attacks from the people who were trying to change my mind, regardless of the fact that we didn't change ours. So it's important to see that sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how you treat people. They are coming in, I guess we can say, cocked and loaded. And after the video, you can stick around to see where you can buy the Change My Mind shirts and become a part of the Change My Mind army. Let's go.
Amazing. All right, can we get to the actual arguments here, please? I want to hear his thesis.
So magical. I've never fun. That fast someday, boo.
And does it say?
This is very obnoxious. Please, just get to the memes.
Context. You said you disagreed. I'm open to new ideas.
Well, I'm wondering the phrasing of the question. Are you arguing that there's not more than, like, man and woman? Are you arguing there's not a difference between sex and gender, or?
Yeah, I think there are 2 genders, male and female.
Wait, what?
Okay, so you're.
That wasn't. Wait, what? Wait. I believe there are 2 genders, male and female. Okay, even if you believe. Okay, so even if you believe that sex and gender aren't the same thing, which isn't true. I mean, like, this is just blatantly anti-science. Sex and gender aren't the same thing. Even if you believe sex and gender are synonymous, scientists don't even believe that there are 2 sexes. They believe that sex is a spectrum now. I don't know if I need. You can look up. It's the Rantsona. Yeah. Oh my God. It's Computing Forever's Rantsona, but he's been redeemed, and he's a real person now, and he's come to argue with Steven Crowder. Okay, really quick. Even the scientific community doesn't believe there's 2 sexes. They believe that sex is a spectrum of secondary sexual characteristics. So I believe this is the thing. I feel like the whole argument of, like, sex and gender is so above Steven Crowder's head, he can't even perceive it. He didn't even respond in a way that was even, like, coherent to that question. Vosh would destroy Crowder. I could destroy Crowder. Anybody could destroy Crowder, but I would pay to see Vosh debate Crowder.
You're
I would.
saying that male and female is a gender, not a sex.
Yes.
Okay, so. Okay, and see that's where I would have to disagree.
Okay.
You're
How so?
saying that male and female is something that would be like both. For example, you probably have a penis, a male sex organ, as would I. But
Why would you assume that?
Okay. Sex is bimodal, not binary. Close to a spectrum, but not quite. I think Pig Puncher. No, that's exactly a spectrum. Here's the two. Okay. We're getting 2 paint streams in a row. Man, I'm going to get accused of copying Vosh a lot today. Okay. Yeah, why would you assume my gender? One joke. Yeah, I know. Okay. So this is how a bimodal distribution works, right? So boop. Never mind. Ignore that. Please ignore that. Ignore that. Okay. So this is how a bimodal distribution works, right? So on one end, you have male characteristics, or I guess we'll make like an M. On one end, you have male secondary sexual characteristics. On the other side, you have female secondary sexual characteristics. And you have people that fall in the middle and all around, right? This is a spectrum. This is a bimodal distribution. This is a spectrum. That's how a spectrum works. This is how the scientific community currently views male and female, as a sexual, a bimodal distribution on a spectrum. On the other hand, what reactionaries believe, which is the anti-science belief, is that sex is a spectrum. You're either male or you're female. Simple as that. It's all they believe. It's anti-science, and it goes in. It's completely contrary to what the scientific community currently believes. But reactionaries don't care about science, as we just saw with the Computing Forever video above. It's not a spectrum unless you make the loading noises, pig. Nice meme.
Do you?
But you assumed it, though.
Okay, I did. I apologize.
No, listen, you don't need. Yeah. I'm not trying to do any gotcha.
One joke. Literally has nothing to do. This is what they do. So this guy on the right here is making like a good point, saying, okay, so sex and gender. Let me explain why they're different things. So I'm going to assume that you're a male, which is probably a good assumption, right? I mean, and then he goes and says, why'd you assume my gender, libtard? Like, okay, so you're going to do the one joke. I'm trying to explain to you the difference between sex and gender. This is a very important tactic. It's an NPC tactic that reactionaries engage in. He was about to make a really good point, and so Crowder had to stop him. Crowder had to interject with the reactionary fucking, you assume my gender joke, so that his point won't come out as coherent, so that his point will have been interrupted or broken, and so people watching won't be able to hear the entirety of the conversation or of the point in its entirety. It's a very, very sneaky tactic reactionaries like to use.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that you assume that I have a penis. Why?
Because you seem. I don't know, man.
Is it because of a societal construct?
Yes.
That's why?
Yes.
It wasn't because of my bone structure or my penis bulge.
What penis bulge, dude? Wait, hold on. We're gonna go deep diving with Steven Crowder. I don't see much going on down there. Hey, Steven Crowder is a trans man. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Listen, listen. If I'm wearing jeans and I'm doing that and I'm sitting in that position, you're gonna see a little bit of a lump going on right there, coming out that like the left side of my of my pant leg. Okay, you're gonna see a bit of a lump going on there. I don't see jack shit happening here, and so I can only assume Steven Crowder is a trans man. There's a pussy in there. Steven Crowder has a pussy right there. My penis does lean left. When I was a reactionary, it went right, but now it leans left.
I don't know, man.
Is it because of a societal construct?
Yes.
That's why?
Yes.
It wasn't because of my bone structure or my penis bulge.
Well, that male and female is different than being a man or a woman.
Okay.
True.
The fact that we have, as a society, created man in the male gender roles, and just as women gender roles.
Okay.
Just as we would.
All right, this guy's explaining it pretty well, but Crowder's gonna go on his whole rant. But I should probably interject with my meme here. Okay. Sex and gender aren't the same thing. Gender and gender identities are a set of identities and ideas and beliefs and roles that are assigned to specific sexes. Generally, if you're born with a vagina, what's going to happen is the doctor is going to look at you. If you're born in a hospital, most people are. Doctor's going to look at you. They're going to see, oh, you have a vagina. Oh, you have a penis. And they're going to assign you as a boy or a girl. They're going to assign you a gender. And then your parents are likely going to raise you as that gender. From everything from, like, the fucking color of the balloons that come out of the stocking at the fucking gender reveal party to the, just to the way that you're treated, the way that you're raised, the way that you're socialized. You're basically raised and assigned that gender. Doesn't mean that gender has anything to do with your physicality, right? The reason why I would assume Steven Crowder is a man is because of his physical traits that have nothing to do with the way he dresses, right? Usually this is true. Usually you would decide someone's sex based on how their physical features, right? I mean, a reactionary would even agree with this when it comes to them trying to clock trans people, right? If they're trying to clock a trans woman, they aren't going to look at what the trans woman is wearing. They aren't going to look at the clothing the clothing. They aren't going to look at the makeup or anything. Instead, they would look at physical features because that's what they care about. They believe that sex and gender are the same thing. So they're willing to distinguish between sex and gender in that case, but they aren't willing to do it when it comes to just whether or not trans people are valid. When it comes to the debate, it's interesting. Let's continue. God, I need to trim my my facial hair again. It's getting in my nose and making my nose itch, like my mustache.
Anything else the same way that we would say that I don't know, that music is good, or that we have created it to place people into roles. And so I'm saying that if you were male or female, if you identified more as a man and the gender roles that go with being a man, that you have that.
So you're saying that sex and gender are very different.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. So that's your premise. So that's based on kind of modern gender theory. When did that start?
Not even modern gender theory. This is just how the scientific community sees things. This is just how the scientific community has come to the conclusion of sex and gender haven't been seen as the same thing since the 50s or 60s. When was the David Raymer shit when they discovered gender dysphoria? How long have sex and gender been seen as different? I'm pretty sure it would have been in the 50s. It would be when the scientific community... here's fucking psychology.org. It is clear that sex is a key biological variable that should be... how long has sex and gender been the same thing? Before the 2001 Gender Applied Physiological... 1948... through December 2000, there was 59 journal article titles that contained the words sex and or gender. From February 1st to... let's see... Okay, here's a good chart. It seems like this is based on how many, Okay, interesting. I'm going to drop this link in chat for you guys, so you guys can check it out for yourselves. Might be useful to put in the Vosh research document as well. As a matter of fact, if you ever want to read on this and see why the argument that sex and gender aren't the same thing, or why sex and gender aren't the same thing is valid, go to Vosh's website and type in !doc. Wait, what? Doc. There we go. !doc, and you can see Vosh's ultimate research document, and just everything below this about trans people being valid. All of this. All of this. All of these studies. All of these studies debunk what Crowder believes. You can look this up all on your own. You wouldn't even have to go to this document, but I'll drop the document in chat as well, because it's probably good to have access to. Hey, Sobek, thank you for the tier 2 sub. Says UK government just voted against a plan to reunite unaccompanied refugee children with their families that are already in the country. I hate this place. Hey, guess what? Us here in America, we're keeping children locked in cages on the southern border. We aren't doing much better, my dude. We love fucking separating children from their families. But hail Sobek. Hail Sobek, the god of semen. All right, we'll watch a bit more of this. I can only handle so much stupidity.
I wouldn't know.
Okay. So why? Let me ask you this before we get to the history. Why do you accept that premise?
Because it makes the most sense to me.
How much does you want to bet Crowder had like 5 debates on that day and only included the 3 of them where the person he was debating with didn't make good arguments? Like, this guy's made some fairly good arguments, but he definitely doesn't have the rhetorical skill. He reminds me of me trying to explain my beliefs when I first started this. Let me, as a matter of fact, let's do a good meme here really quick. Let's go back into my content, all right? If you want to see for yourself at how bad I was at my rhetorical skill back in the day, go back to my old content. I almost want to delete my old stuff on YouTube because of how bad I was at my rhetoric at the time. So I think, yeah. So this was like my first, these were like my first live streams. My first live streams that I did. They're so fucking bad. I want to delete them because I was so bad at my rhetoric. Like, fuck, where's a good one? Brittany Venti is a parasite. Let's see how bad my rhetorical skill was back then. Prepare for bad audio and a bad webcam. I don't know what we would call this one. Hold on to that. We might make one out of that. But who knows? We're only just getting started. We could find a better screenshot later. Well, I want to see me explaining something. Look how bad I was. Okay. I was so bad, dude. I was so bad. No sound? Oh, damn. I'm sorry about that. It was really quiet. That's as high as the volume goes. My voice was so soft back then. I had such a bad mic. My rhetorical skill, my entertainment value has gone up so much since then. I feel like this is me when I was trying to you know, portray these things. But this guy is coming from a good place. He's just bad at kind of explaining the difference between sex and gender. But I'll do it here. I'll do it. I'll explain the difference between sex and gender. Sex, when we're talking about sex, is a bimodal distribution of secondary sexual characteristics. Things like breasts and you know, fat distribution, penises, vaginas, things like that. It's a distribution on a spectrum referring to your biology, your physical features, and your chromosomes even. Gender is a societally constructed set of ideas and identities that have to do with how you identify. There's sexual identity, there's gender roles, or there's gender identity, gender roles, and gender presentation. Gender identity refers to how you identify. If you say you identify as a woman, your gender identity is woman. If you identify as non-binary, your gender identity is non-binary. And if you identify as a man, your identity is a man. That is your gender identity. Gender presentation is how you present. If you present very feminine, what your society that you live in perceives to be feminine and womanly, you have a very woman gender identity or gender presentation. Then you also have gender roles. If you're like a trans girl and you're like a trad wife, then you're filling like women gender roles, like the gender roles that women usually fall into. Typically. Oh god, people are adding me on Discord. Don't at me while I'm streaming or I'll fucking block you. Alright. That is the difference. Steven Crowder's too stupid to realize it. He has too much of a monetary incentive to realize it. But, hey. He's a trans man. Can we just make that... Can we just run with that? Steven Crowder is a trans man. I want you guys to comment on this video. Steven Crowder is a trans man. Just fill up the fucking comment section. That's all I want to see. I meant in Discord, guys. You can at me on the website, but not in Discord. Alright. Here we go.